So I just moved into a new apartment last week. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom place on the second floor of an older building outside the city. It's the kind of apartment you rent when you're trying to start over. After the breakup with Rachel and everything that followed, I needed a reset. Somewhere quiet, anonymous. The place had a weird smell when I moved in. Not bad, just old, like dust and forgotten things. But I figured that's par for the course with places built in the 70s. The walls are thin, the pipes groan at night, and the radiator coughs like it's dying. Still, the rent's cheap and the landlord seemed chill, if not a little odd. He didn't say much during the walkthrough, just handed me the keys and said, "Don't go rearranging things too much." At the time, I thought he meant the furniture, which was weird because the place came empty. The first few days were uneventful. I unpacked, worked from home, got groceries. I even slept okay, which is rare for me in a new place. There's this big window in the bedroom that lets in just enough light at night. Makes the shadows on the wall shift like they're breathing. But I kind of liked it, comforting in a strange way. I was starting to feel like maybe this was a good idea. That is, until I found the note. It was this morning. I woke up around 7, groggy but rested. Rolled over to grab my phone, and felt something soft under my pillow. Not fabric, paper. It was a small, folded piece of notebook paper. I sat up, heart already beating faster than it should have been. I don't put things under my pillow. I'm not 5. When I opened it, I got this weird, prickling sensation across the back of my neck. It was a note, short, just 6 words, written in messy, familiar handwriting. "You're not alone in here anymore." And it was signed with my name, Matt. I just sat there for a few minutes, staring at the note in my hands. My brain couldn't catch up to what I was seeing. The letters were jagged, a little shaky, like they were written quickly, maybe even nervously. But the thing that rattled me most was the way the M curled at the top. The way the T didn't cross all the way. That was my handwriting. I know it sounds stupid, but I even went and found one of my old notebooks just to compare. I flipped to a random page, wrote the same sentence down, and yeah, it matched. But I didn't write that. I swear on everything, I did not write that note. The rational part of me kicked in first. Maybe I wrote it in my sleep. Maybe I had some weird dream and scribbled it without remembering. I've had stress-induced sleepwalking before, back when things were bad with Rachel. But I always woke up in weird places when that happened. Once I found myself standing in the shower, fully dressed. I never just left a creepy message under my own pillow. Still, I wanted to believe it was me, because the other option, that someone else came into my locked apartment, used my pen and my paper, copied my handwriting, and then stood over me while I slept. That was so much worse. I spent the whole morning checking the place. Doors, windows, closets, even inside the oven. Everything was locked, untouched. Nothing was missing. No signs of a break-in. No weird smudges on the windows. I checked the security chain on the front door, still latched. The deadbolt, locked. I even called the landlord. Asked, real casual, if there were spare keys floating around. He gave me this long silence before saying, "Just me, and I don't go inside without warning." I didn't mention the note, but that was the first time I noticed something else. The way he said it. He didn't say, "I wouldn't go inside." He said, "I don't go inside without warning," like he'd done it before. I didn't sleep that night. That night, I lay in bed with the lights off and the note still folded on my nightstand. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. It felt like a threat, and part of me thought that tossing it would be like pretending it didn't happen. I wanted to keep it close. Like if I could see it, it couldn't surprise me again. Sleep didn't come easy. The building made noise more than I remembered. The radiator hissed like it was alive. The floorboards creaked in distant places, like someone was walking barefoot down the hallway. Even though I live alone, I kept telling myself it was just settling, just old wood and old plumbing. Nothing new. But around 2 a.m., I heard breathing. Not mine. Not through the wall, from a neighbor. Inside the room. It was slow, shallow, like someone trying not to be heard. I froze. Eyes open. Blankets pulled up to my chin like I was 6 years old again. I held my breath, counting the beats of my heart, straining to listen. It was right behind me. I was facing the window, and the sound was coming from the direction of the bedroom door. I didn't dare move. My body felt like it had been filled with concrete, heavy and stiff. Every instinct screamed not to turn around, not to look. I don't know how long I stayed like that. 5 minutes? 30? At some point, the breathing stopped. The room felt cold, like the air had been sucked out of it. And slowly, so slowly, I reached for my phone, unlocked it, and turned on the flashlight. Nothing. No one. The door was closed. The room was empty. I didn't sleep again after that. Just sat upright with the light on, waiting for morning. When I finally dragged myself out of bed, the apartment felt different, like I'd disturbed something. I went to brush my teeth, and that's when I saw the bathroom mirror. There was something written in the fog on the glass, even though I hadn't used hot water yet. For words, smudged but readable. Did you read it? I just stood there, toothbrush dangling from my hand, staring at the fogged-up message. Did you read it? It hadn't even occurred to me to wonder what the note meant. I'd been too caught up in the how it got there, who left it, why it was in my handwriting. But now it felt like the note was only the beginning, like it had been a test, an opening line, and someone or something was waiting for a response. I checked the mirror frame, the bathroom window, even the ceiling tiles. No signs of tampering. I hadn't taken a hot shower, hadn't steamed the place up. There was no way that message should have been there. But it was. I wiped the mirror clean and just stood in the silence for a long time, my reflection staring back at me with wide, tired eyes. I looked like I hadn't slept in weeks, even though it had only been a single terrible night. I told myself again, rational thoughts, maybe I had written it. Maybe I turned the sink on without realizing and scribbled that phrase like a psycho. But deep down, I didn't believe that anymore. There was something about the way it was written. The letters were crooked, too high on the glass. If I had written it, I would have had to stand on my toes to reach that height. It wasn't mine. Later that day, I dug the note out from under my pillow again and looked at it. Really looked at it. I noticed something I'd missed before. On the back, there was the faintest indentation, like someone had pressed too hard with the pen. I rubbed a pencil across it to bring out whatever had been there before. 3 more words emerged. Don't answer back. I dropped the paper. Just seeing those words made my stomach turn. Because whoever left the message on the mirror, they wanted a reply, but someone else was warning me not to give it to them. I made rules. I don't know why that helped, but it did. Write them down, make them solid, pretend the world will follow. 1. Don't answer back. 2. Don't sleep facing the door. 3. Don't move the bed. 4. Keep the light on. I taped the list to the fridge like a kindergarten star chart. Then I went out and bought a cheap plug-in camera and a door wedge from the hardware store on the corner. The kid at the register asked if I just moved in. I said yeah. He told me the building used to be a boarding house and that the walls remember things. I laughed like it was a joke and walked home too fast. I set the camera on my dresser, angled at the bed and the bedroom door. I sprinkled a thin line of flour across the doorway and under the window frame. If anything came in, I'd see the track. I double-checked the chain and deadbolt. The wedge squealed as I kicked it under the door. The day dragged. Work calls were background noise. My mouth said the right phrases while my brain stood in the bathroom staring at where the words had been. Did you read it? The thought of writing anything back made my stomach go cold. I cleaned instead. I wiped down baseboards. I picked up a fallen penny behind the couch that wasn't mine. I opened and closed the bedroom closet 4 times and pretended that meant control. When it got dark, the apartment changed temperature like a living thing exhaling. I positioned my phone on the nightstand to record audio, plugged in. I left the note on the dresser, folded, the pencil "Don't answer back" facing up like a bandage. I lay with the light on and the covers pulled to my chest and tried not to think words. That sounds stupid, but after seeing that indentation, I was scared even thoughts counted as answering. Around 2:40 a.m. The building settled with a long, dragging sound I felt in my teeth. I held still, The radiator ticked. The camera's tiny status light stared at me like an unblinking eye. At 3:12, the air got heavy. You know that feeling on a plane right before takeoff, the push against your chest? Felt like that. The room thinned. Something feathered the hair at the nape of my neck. Breathing again. Closer this time. Not behind me. Above me. Like someone was reading over my shoulder. I didn't move. I didn't blink. My throat itched with the shape of a word and I swallowed it down. The breathing matched mine, then fell out of sync, like two metronomes sliding apart. There was a quiet click from the dresser. The camera made a soft, mechanical swallow. For a second, the status light dimmed, then brightened. My phone's recording timer kept climbing, red and innocent. A whisper came from just left of my ear, not through the room, into it. Like the whisper started inside my skull and found its way out of my skin. Matt. My name in my own voice. My exact cadence. The way I stretch the vowel when I'm tired. The urge to answer was so strong my jaw trembled. I bit the inside of my cheek until I tasted metal and squeezed my eyes shut. Don't answer back. The whisper came again, patient, a hair closer to my ear. Are you awake? I counted. 1, 2, 3. Something scraped very softly, as if a pen pressed to paper. The sound came from under my pillow. I didn't move. My eyes watered. My heart did the awful rabbit thing it does when you're sure you're about to make a mistake you can't undo. The breathing stopped. The pressure eased. I lay there like a corpse until the rectangle of the window shifted a shade lighter and morning came on like forgiveness. When I finally sat up, the flower lines were intact. The wedge was still under the door. The chain was still thrown. There was a new piece of folded notebook paper under my pillow. It wasn't the same paper as before. The torn edge was different. The fold was sharper, like it had been made with a fingernail. I opened it with both hands because I didn't trust myself to hold it steady. 3 words, written in my handwriting, but tighter, neater, like I'd had more time to practice. Good job, listening. And on the back, faint, only visible when I breathed on the page to fog it for a second. An indentation I hadn't made yet. Tonight, don't move. I didn't go to work that day. I stared at the note for a long time, then folded it slowly and placed it inside the drawer next to my bed like it was a relic. I couldn't throw it away, not because I was scared to, but because something about it felt consequential, like whatever was happening had its own set of rules, and breaking them, even accidentally, would be worse than anything I'd seen so far. I reviewed the camera footage from the night before. The video was completely still. No movement, no audio glitches, just me, lying stiff as a board with my eyes wide open for 7 hours. Even when I heard the whisper, even when I felt the breath, the camera caught nothing. Except one thing. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the video feed dropped to black for 1 second. Just one. No audio, no static. Just darkness, like someone had placed a hand over the lens. Then it came back. The timestamp continued uninterrupted. No jump. No evidence of tampering. Just a black void where the image should have been. I paused it there. Rewatched that moment a dozen times. And on the 12th try, I saw it. A single frame, less than half a second before the feed went dark. Something tall, leaning over me. A silhouette, not detailed. Just the suggestion of limbs too long and a head too close. My breath hitched. I called the landlord again. When he picked up, I asked him, bluntly, if anything had ever happened in this apartment. He was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, "You read it, didn't you?" I froze. My mouth went dry. Read what? The note. They all get one. Some read it. Some don't. He sounded tired. Not surprised. It's better if you don't answer. It learns your tone if you do. What the hell is it? He sighed. It doesn't have a name. It's not a ghost. Not a demon. More like a habit. Left behind. Something the house remembers too well. My stomach turned. How do I make it stop? You don't. A pause. But if it wrote "don't move," then you're lucky. It still thinks you're worth playing with. Click. He hung up. I stood there holding my phone for what felt like an hour. That night, I didn't set up the camera. Didn't bother with the flower, the wedge, or the rules. What was the point? I just got into bed and waited, lying perfectly still with the lights off, every part of me screaming to run. At 3:12 a.m., the air grew thick again. A sound. Not breathing this time, but a slow dragging, like something being pulled across the floor. It moved from the hallway into my bedroom. I didn't move. The dragging sound circled the bed. Closer, closer. Then it stopped. Right beside me. I could feel the presence. Heavy, cold, curious. A finger, I think it was a finger, slid along my spine through the blanket. Delicate, testing, then up my neck. It brushed behind my ear, like tucking in a strand of hair. Then it leaned close. I could feel it smiling, and whispered, this time in a voice I didn't recognize, "Good boy." The blanket began to lift. The blanket moved like something alive, slow and deliberate, peeling away from my body inch by inch. I kept still. My arms clenched tight to my sides, fists pressed against the mattress so hard my knuckles ached. Every nerve in my body screamed to pull the covers back, to thrash, to run, but I remembered the note. Tonight, don't move. The thing, whatever it was, wasn't touching me anymore, but I could feel it watching. I could feel the weight of it beside me, like a presence stretching too far, wrong in its shape and patience. The way the air pressed down on my chest. I knew if I breathed too fast or flinched even once, it would take that as permission. The blanket slid off completely. Then silence. A long, awful silence. I thought maybe it had gone. Maybe that was it. A test. A warning. I started counting in my head again. Slow and steady, just like before. On the count of 17, the mattress shifted. Sank. Like someone had gently lowered themselves down on the other side of the bed. I kept my eyes shut, heart pounding so violently I thought it might give me away. My body screamed for oxygen, but I took tiny, silent breaths. Then it got under the covers. The sheet lifted again, slower this time. Careful. It didn't pull the covers away. It crawled underneath them. I felt the fabric rise around my side like a ripple in water, then press back down as weight settled directly beside me. Closer, closer, until I felt it press against my back. It was ice cold, not like a person cold, like a hospital gurney cold, like something from deep underground. I lay there in a kind of paralysis I didn't know existed. My thoughts looped one phrase. This isn't real. This can't be real. Its hand, or something like a hand, touched my shoulder. Not a full grip. Just enough to let me know it could. Then I heard a sound I'll never forget. A sigh. Long, low content, like it had been waiting a very long time to be this close to someone again. And then it whispered something new. You sleep like he did. A pause. Then a smile I couldn't see but felt. But you won't scream like he did. My eyes burned. My throat tightened. And then it disappeared. All of it. The weight, the cold, the presence. Gone. I lay there until the sun broke through the blinds. When I finally turned over, shaking and soaked in sweat, there was a smear of something black on the pillow beside mine. And a new note. This time the paper was wet. Written in uneven ink. Smudged like someone with shaking hands had tried to write while weeping. Tomorrow, under the bed. I didn't go near the bed the next day. Couldn't. I stood in the doorway and stared at it like it was a crime scene. The blanket was perfectly made again, tucked tight around the corners. The black smear on the pillow had dried, crusted into a faint silhouette. It looked like a long, narrow handprint, too long. The note was still damp. The ink had bled into the fibers of the paper, curling the edges. I didn't pick it up. I just read the words again and again from a distance. Tomorrow, under the bed. Not check under the bed. Not look. Just under. Like I was expected to go there. Crawl there. Be there. I barely held myself together. Skipped work again. Didn't eat. Didn't sit. I just kept moving around the apartment to the balcony, back inside, bathroom, back out again. Afraid that if I stayed still, it might take that as acceptance. By sunset, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to spend the night. I packed a bag, phone, charger, clothes, all my cash, and headed for the front door. It didn't open. The deadbolt turned. The handle moved, but the door wouldn't budge, like something on the other side was holding it shut. I tried the windows next. Same thing. They'd move just enough to give me hope, then stop with this gentle, mocking resistance. No matter what I tried, the apartment wouldn't let me leave. That's when I heard the whisper, right behind me, right against my neck. It's not tomorrow yet. I spun around so fast I fell into the wall. There was nothing there, but the air felt wrong, like the room had just inhaled, like it was watching me react. I slept on the bathroom floor that night with the lights on and the door locked. At 3 a.m., the light flickered. At 3:11 a.m., the lock clicked open. At 3:14 a.m., the scraping started. Long, slow pulls of nails or bone against tile. I pressed my hands to my ears, shut my eyes, breathed through my teeth. It didn't try to come in. It just waited. The next morning, everything was back to normal. The door locked, the light steady, and in the bathroom mirror, smeared into the fog in perfect, waiting print. Tonight, under. All day I felt it watching me. Not from one spot, but from everywhere. The corners of the ceiling, the gap behind the fridge, the dark sliver under the closet door. Every part of the apartment felt too still, like it was holding its breath, waiting for me to finally understand. There was no leaving, no ignoring it. At 6 p.m., the lights in the kitchen flickered once, then went out. The bedroom lights followed at 6:02. One by one, the apartment dimmed until only the lamp near the bed still worked. The same lamp I'd left on every night like some kind of pathetic shield. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just lay on the floor in the living room, knees pulled to my chest, staring at the gap beneath my bedroom door. The hours dragged. The silence thickened. Then my phone buzzed. A new text from an unknown number. Be brave. He wasn't. No number. No name. Just that sentence. I dropped the phone. My whole body was vibrating like a struck tuning fork. At 11:47 p.m., the bedroom door creaked open on its own. No wind. No movement. Just a slow, patient invitation. The apartment was waiting for me to obey. I don't remember getting up. I just found myself standing in the doorway, staring at the bed. Everything looked normal, too normal. Sheets tucked, pillows neat, that same faint black smear still haunting the fabric. The underside of the bed was pitch black. I couldn't see anything, not even dust. It was like the shadows under there weren't just dark. They were hollow. I dropped to my knees. Every instinct screamed no. My hands shook. My mouth was dry. I felt like I was about to crawl into a coffin. And then I heard the voice again, this time from directly beneath me. You're ready now. I lowered myself to the floor and slid under the bed. The light behind me dimmed. The wooden slats above my head groaned softly. And in the darkness, I wasn't alone. It was there waiting. Something long and twisted, folded in on itself like a spider hiding in its own web. Its face was inches from mine, but I couldn't see it. I could only feel it. Its breath was thick and wet and sweet like rotten fruit. And it whispered. He begged to come out. Will you? I shook my head. I couldn't speak. It reached forward, pressed a finger, slick and wrong, to my lips. Good. Then it pulled back into the shadows. And the floor beneath me opened. It didn't feel like falling. Felt like sinking. One moment I was under the bed, my floor, my home, and the next gravity betrayed me. The ground beneath me softened, dissolved into something cold and alive. My arms flailed, but there was nothing to grab. The world above disappeared like a snuffed candle, and I was swallowed by something deeper than dark. The fall stopped suddenly, and I landed on my back with a soundless thud. No pain, just stillness. The air here was thick, like breathing through wet cloth. There was no light, no echo, no scent, just a crushing silence that made my ears ring. But I wasn't alone. I felt them before I saw them. Figures, dozens, standing in the black, unmoving. People-shaped voids just barely outlined in something too pale to be light. Their heads twitched with slow, broken motions, like puppets handled by clumsy hands. One by one, they turned toward me, and I realized they looked like me. Each one wore a different expression. Panic, sorrow, rage. But all of them had my face. I backed up until I hit a wall that hadn't been there a moment ago. My breathing came in tight bursts. Then, from among the others, one stepped forward. It was me, but older, tired, covered in dust and fingerprints, like he'd been touched too many times. His lips moved, but the voice came from inside my chest. You stayed. I couldn't respond. My throat was locked. The others began whispering all at once. Their voices formed a sound like tearing paper and slow weeping. I couldn't understand the words, but I knew what they meant. You're one of us now. You listened. You followed the rules. The one who had spoken, the tired version of me, stepped closer, eyes wide with something between pity and envy. He held out a hand, and in his palm was a folded piece of paper. Shaking, I took it. 6 words, written in my own handwriting. You'll leave when someone replaces you. I screamed, but no sound came out. The world shook. The faces collapsed into the dark. And then, I woke up, in my bed, morning light streaming through the window, the blanket tucked neatly around me. No black smear, no cold, just silence. For a moment, I thought it had all been a nightmare, some extended psychotic break, until I turned over and saw a single note resting on the pillow beside mine. Fresh ink, folded sharp. It read, "He's awake." And it wasn't in my handwriting. It was in yours.